So we have our third presentation, Justifying Pluralism on Religion Through Theories, a case of Àdìmúlà, religion found among the Yoruba, by Paul Akinmayowa, Akin-Otiko, of Institute of African and Diaspora Studies, Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome. You have 20 minutes of presentation and 10 minutes of questions, answers. So I'll let you know 5 minutes to the end of your time. Welcome, Paul.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here, and I was listening to the presenter that just finished, and so I'm coming into a space where theologians are, and I'm going to be throwing in things that now I'm comfortable with, but I'm sure you are going to be strange to you. So welcome to this space. I'm trying to look for my document so I can share it. As I have been introduced, Akinmayowa, Akin-Otiko. I'm from the Institute of African and Diaspora Studies, University of Lagos, Nigeria, and I do research in the belief of the Africans, and I do a lot of work around the beliefs of the Yorubas. I'm looking for my documents, but I'm going to keep talking. So my presentation, as has been said, is justifying pluralism of religion through theories. A case for Àdìmúlà, that's a religion found among the Africans. Okay, where can I find this document? So the background to this is I was involved in a project that lasted for 3 years. And the project was sponsored by Nagel Institute in Calvin University, Michigan. And the project needed us to examine some movies. And the movies were both slides. The movies, okay, so I'm not around those that can help me with this stuff now. So the movies were traditional, and some of them were very religious, Christian religious-based religion. And these two sets of movies were dealing with the same reality, which is the Yoruba reality. And so what came strongly out of my examination of these movies, the fact that two different movies were seeing the same reality from two different perspectives, and the perspectives were basically based on how each religion perceived God. And so then the question came, the traditional religions presented God from the perspective of the Yorubas, and then the Hollywood movies also presented God from the point of Christianity. And so they were dealing with the same reality, and they were contradictory in their conclusions. And so it became very difficult to understand why the same reality would portend two different meanings and meanings to two different people. So that was what gave the basis for what I am doing. So in the last 3 years, I've been working with this theory, and it's a chapter in a book that is in progress. And so I'm bringing it to theologians to, well, kind of throw it into the into your space and see what you make of it, and then to also make it look better as I put it. Sadly, I can't share my screens. I don't know why. I don't know why I can't share my screen. But I'll keep trying. So the statement of
Hello, Paul. You can actually send it to me in my email, and then I will share it with everybody here if you want. Yes.
So let me do that right away while I'll continue to present, and then I'll just do that right away. Okay, so like I said, so these two realities gave me the need to begin to examine why the same reality would mean two different things to different groups. Okay, so I've sent it. I hope you get it now. All right, so just let me know when you get it. Okay, so a grant came. I did it for 3 years. I've been working on the grant, and we examined, like I said, traditional films and then evangelical movies, and then one reality gave 2 impressions. And I've been working on this book, and the book is ongoing. So I'm throwing these into your space to hear what you're going to say. So what exactly is the problem that I'm looking at? Now, the reality of pluralism of religion cannot be denied. And when it is pluralism of religion that excludes the religion of the Africans, it's a big yes. We can easily talk about pluralism of religion. But as soon as you bring in the religion of the Africans, then it becomes a difficult yes, if not a total no. So pluralism of religion. And then we begin to hear what I have called partial pluralism, meaning that yes, it may be, but it is not it. This is partial recognition of other religions, and in the course of discussion, there appears an eventual shift towards a mild or partial inclusivism. This is exemplified in Hanku's, who believe that although Christianity has much to learn from other ways of encounter, which is religion, through dialogue, Christianity, he says, still provides the criteria for understanding what is true and what is not true in the discussion of religion. The reason for this shift is the advertent or inadvertent effort to compare other religions to Christianity. And this leads to the categorizing of other religions as partially right or partially wrong. Now, so that's my concern. That's the problem I'm looking at in this discussion. I'm looking at why it is easy, as John Hick puts it, it's easy for us to agree that we worship the same God when we're looking at the Abrahamic religion. Why is it a no when we begin to consider the religions of the Africans? And so, when we look at what John Hicks says, he says, the question of sameness in the God that is worshipped in Christianity, Islam, and Judaism is not a problem because it's easy to do that. You see the same God and you can make that movement from Christianity to Islam. And then say, and for us in Nigeria in particular, we do not have an outright denial of having the same God when we're having conversation between Christianity and Islam for different reasons. One strong reason is for the sake of peace. So the question that I'm asking here is, why do we find it difficult to say a yes to pluralism of religion when we are discussing the religion of the Africans. And when I begin to say pluralism of religion, I mean exactly, okay, great. So that's my first slide. So I'm on the third slide now. So I'm asking now. So that's the slide, but you still have to move it for me. So I'm the third slide. Yeah. So I'm on the third slide, and I'm discussing the statement of problem. Okay, great. Okay, thank you. So I'm saying when it comes with a big yes to pluralism, when it does not involve the belief system of the Africans, and it's no to pluralism when it involves the belief system of the Africans. Can we go to the next slide? So now, John Heath, next slide please. John Heath has spoken about the possibility of worship of the same God when you're considering Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. And that does not pose a problem. It doesn't pose a problem because you can identify God in this Abrahamic religion in terms of the history and in terms of the experience. Can you move on to the next slide? Now, why do we have a big no when we're considering the religion of the Africans? And I'm asking this question because Africans, through their different religions, effectively worship God. I have put a picture here for us to see a typical poster of an African worship center. And I'm, in this case, referring to the Ifa religion. Here you see it's the indigenous faith of the Africans, and you see that the days of service is Saturday, the time is there, and that is the person that is in charge of the temple. Here you see worship, here you see petition made, here you see sacrifices. Now, I'm going to the next slide. It is based on this, if you remember what I said at the beginning, it is based on this reality that Africans engage with, that's this theory, and this is the basis of my discussion. It is also the basis for me to be able to make the conclusion that I'm going to be proposing, that the Africans can engage with God and the same God. Now, so because the same reality was discussed from the perspective of Christianity, and the same reality was discussed from the perspective of the Africans, and the discussions were very, very diverse. It was what made me come up with this theory. So the title of this theory is and it simply means it's the side of God that he wills, that he reveals to different people. It is the side God wills that he reveals to different people. Now, what this theory is saying is that one, as you see in the diagram, there is an indisputable reality which is at the center of this diagram. Then, this one indisputable reality reveals himself in different ways. And this is based on Hebrews chapter 1, verses 1 and 2. So he chooses to reveal himself, and I have done this diagram in no specific priority. It's just using alphabetical order. So this same reality reveals itself to the Yorubas through Àdìmúlà. This same reality reveals itself in Buddhism, reveals itself in Christianity, reveals itself in Hinduism, in Islam, and all the way. So what is known about this reality is what the reality decides to reveal. Now, if it is this same reality that reveals itself, then what this tells us is that the revelation is valid. Valid within the space in which the revelation has taken place. And so, what this theory is saying is that one reality has decided to reveal himself in different spaces, different people, and however it wants. Some fuller, some not so full, but what is important is that the revelation is valid because it is from the same reality. And so once that is internalized, once that is taken in, once that is accepted, then we can begin to look at the characteristics of this theory. Can we move on to the next slide? And this is where I'm making my point. This is where I'm drawing the strength from. What I have not done is to go into details of what I mean by the religions of the Africans. I think we can get into that when the questions come up. But what is essential is that there is a reality, an indisputable reality.
Paul, do you have 5 minutes? 5 minutes.
I've got 5 minutes. Okay, so there is an indisputable reality that has chosen to reveal itself to different people, different times. So the characteristic of this theory is first, it begins with revelation. So something reveals itself. Second, all revelations are relative, and that's by relative I mean whatever is revealed in one religion is true to that religion. Third, revelations may be primary or secondary truth. Primary truth when it moves as truth across our religion. For example, God is one in Christianity, in Islam. So primary truth. Secondary truth, God is Trinity in Christianity. Now the fourth characteristic is that revelation may be uniform or contradictory across these religions. Uniform may be that everybody dies, lives well, goes to heaven. Contradictory may be in Christianity you marry one wife, in Islam you marry two wives, but it's true even though contradictory. Fifth characteristic is that everything that is revealed within each religion is good enough for salvation, and that's a point. It's good enough for salvation, so within that religion. And the sixth characteristic is that religions are developed based on revelation, context, and period. And so the seventh and very important one is that earlier revelations do not cancel or make previous ones inferior. Now, can we go to the next slide? This is very, very important for us to be able to have this conversation and know whether the religion of the Africans offer them access to the same God. So, implication of the theory that I have just thrown at you is that first, the same reality has revealed himself in multiple ways, including the religion found among the Africans. Two, Africans worship the same God as other religions. Three, whatever is revealed is good enough, as I have said before, for the purpose of the religion. Four, revelations are relative and true at the same time. Relative because it's true within the context of the revelation. Revelations can be true and contradictory across different religions, so that's important. And then lastly, later revelations do not cancel out the earlier ones. Can we go to the next slide? Now, it's based on all of this, that one then can make this seemingly bold statement that God can save the Africans through the instrumentality of the religions found among them. As a round off, the point I have made here is that religions begin with the revelation of God, and Africans have their own religion. And God revealed himself as he willed within the context, the period of the Africans. And so they know God as he has revealed himself to them. And what he has revealed to them is good enough for the revelation, for the salvation of the Africans. This does not speak to inferior or superior religion, speaks to equality because it's the same person that reveals. This also does not speak to, it does not remove the fact that someone can be practicing a religion that teaches something that is contradictory to the other person. It just shows that the same reality has revealed himself in multiple ways, and the multiple ways can be contradictory to one another. So I would like to end here. I see my time is up. I'd like to end here. Sorry for the mix-up at the beginning, but during the questions, then I can get into more details.
Thank you so much. So we shall be fielding questions.
Thank you so much for your presentation. My question is about, you began by talking about Yoruba, I believe, and you moved and started talking about Africans. So I don't know, the generalization, from the particular to general, I don't know, how do you resolve that?
All right, so, well, that's very good. I mean, these days you never speak for Africans. You speak specific about things. But what I have done here is that I have done the religions of the Africans. So there are quite a number of things that run through the understanding of God among the Africans, even though the religions vary according to context and cultures. But I narrowed it down. If you noticed when I was saying, I say with specific reference to the Ifa religion. So I narrowed it down. But when it comes to Africa has got multiple religions, but there are things that run across all these religions, even though they also have unique qualities that they address.
Thank you very much. First of all, John Hick's comment, I knew you mentioned John Hick. There's a critique of Hick that he's making a grand assumption that every religion buys into the same reality. So, and then you are also, this is the critique of pluralism, that you are giving another person's identity to me when I have not claimed that. That said, I think I was curious, maybe you should add among the categories you listed, the qualities. They'll say that I love that you said revelation is relative, but all revelation is interpretation as well. And so if all revelation is interpretation, and interpretation literally by its nature reduces the content of what is being interpreted, and also can also open pathways for new hermeneutics, new understanding. So that creates room for other revelations to be instantiated in the human consciousness and human experience. So I'm just curious what your take, this is something I'm pursuing in some of my works, but I'm curious what your take is on that.
Okay, so yes, absolutely. Revelation, okay, so let's put it this way. Revelation is revelation. How you interpret revelation does not change the reality and the nature of the revelation. You may have a full interpretation, you may have a super interpretation. It does not change. Revelation is revelation. But what comes across and what people say about what is revealed through interpretation can be multidimensional. And so that's where, yes, it's difficult for one to say, my interpretation is the interpretation. And if you take it back to my revelation, it's difficult to say their revelation, because this same reality has revealed itself in multiple ways. And so, yes, interpretation is not perfect, because we do interpret based on our faculty and our understanding and what we're exposed to. Positionality is big when it comes to interpretation. And so, yes, my take on that is basically that when I am interpreting Revelation, I am not speaking entirety of the revelation, because it's still just basically what I understand by what I have seen. And people can give different interpretations to the same thing. Coming to the critique of Hick, yes, in the same way, John Hick is standing where I also stand when I define that center as an indisputable reality. So it doesn't matter, again, speaking about interpretation, it doesn't matter whether someone wants to dispute, whether want to disagree. That reality is that reality. You may not accept it, but it's a reality. So when John Hick got to the point of not being able to deny other people the access to that reality, that's when he spoke about pluralism of religion. And I understand the critique as well. And I am further critiquing John Hick by saying, beyond the Abrahamic religion, why is it difficult to speak pluralism of religion when we extend the tentacles to Africa?
Okay, let me just quickly do a quick follow-up to the first response. The notion of interpretation, or all revelation being interpretation, it's grounded in an ethical consciousness, in the sense that it's not just interpretation, but what does this interpretation do for the community that is interpreting what it is receiving? Because there is no way you can receive God's revelation in its pureness without it being mediated through interpretation. Even the incarnation is God's interpretation to be able to enter into the human condition and the human space of finality. So there is a moral dimension to it, but it is not about this one is better or this one is less. It's just that what is the utilitarian purpose, morally grounded for the community or for that religion. So I wanted to nuance that more for you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, I hear you, and I hear you very clearly. This is you from a very Christian positionality, and I understand that so very well, and it's very much allowed. Interpretations are interpretations; they are never neutral. It doesn't matter where one is drawing them from. The interpretations are never neutral, and so yes. What you call morality is, again, based on where you're coming from, what backgrounds you have. And if God says the Israelites should go and destroy a whole group of enemy, it's interpreted as God has spoken, and he has spoken well. So that's how that has been revealed, that's how that has been interpreted. Somebody else will say, why should that same God now ask his own people to go kill those people? So that's the essence of interpretation. It's how I see it. It's the positionality I take that informs how I interpret the revelation. And again, I totally agree with you, and I'm happy to say it's not about what is superior or inferior. It's just about what I know. It's what I've been exposed to. God is God. He does what he wants. He speaks what he speaks to whoever he wants. And he expects them to understand how he delivers it, if that makes sense.
Paul, we appreciate your reflections and your time. And now, maybe offer him a round of applause. Thank you so much. We move to the next presentation.
Thank you.